And good afternoon, everyone. Bruce Pearson back with you here on Jersey Talk Radio. We are live at the Jersey Access Group Conference in Morristown, New Jersey, and I have Paul DiStefano with me. Paul is an expert on lighting. He is a consultant and a systems integrator. And Paul, thanks for being with us. You guys have always been a great presence, certainly in the tri-state area in lighting, in broadcast and theater, corporate. I've seen you guys have an absolutely amazing facility. I've been to your facility and used your equipment a million times. Thanks for coming on board with us. Tell me a little bit about your background and how you come to be in this position.
Well, I was a TV and film major in college, and I got into the business in 1984 with aspirations to get into corporate video. I had no intention of going and being a page at NBC or anything like that. I wanted to do corporate video because I always felt that there would be nothing more challenging than to take something as boring as some flange and do a 5-minute piece that actually might compel you to watch the whole thing. Unfortunately, in 1984, the majority of the video professionals that were at corporate were just layovers from the film strip people and the other AV people, and the only time that there was an opening was when somebody died. So I ended up in sales, and I started to do video systems for First Video Corporation of America in Somerset. From there, I was with Comprehensive Video Supply for a number of years. Ended up back at Video Corporation of America and some other companies, and for like the last 8 or 9 years that I was in the video system side of the business, I was almost doing exclusively desktop video. And the day that I was at NAB and one of my engineers told me to go to the Apple booth and check out this thing called Final Cut, that was when I knew that my days of doing desktop video were going to be shortly coming to an end. And I ended up working for a company called Shadowstone, a lighting systems integrator. My former boss, Frank Marsico, was the gentleman that basically designed all of the grids for our studios when I was at Video Corp, when we did a studio system. So we happened to be out doing a site survey at Lehigh Carbon Community College, and I was bitching about how much you can't make money selling video systems anymore. And we sat down and had breakfast, and by the time breakfast was over, there was an offer on the table, and 12 years later, here I am doing lighting systems.
I'm always intrigued. I mean, I'm into my 41st year in this bloody industry, and where people have gone, where their plans have not led them, or where fate has led them. So you're very well versed in lighting equipment. We came up and took the tour, and you did the presentation about new trends and new technologies in lighting. I was very impressed with your knowledge of it. You made it very understandable for lay people. I actually taught lighting, as a skill up at William Patterson for 3 years. I mean, some of the technological advances that we're going to talk about really are revolutionizing production work, either location and studio lighting. In many areas, both environmentally, the heat load, everything else that goes along with it, but also the reduction in cost, the reduction in shipping and weight and danger, burning an arm off.
The reduction in heat and the reduction of power and the reduction of lamps and things like that. Yeah, no, I've always said that I've been blessed to be in this business, to be part of 2 digital revolutions. I was there when we made the transition from analog video to digital video. I learned how to edit on a CMX 360, right? I was going to say 3600, but I learned the same way everybody did. So I went from the AB roll days to the nonlinear days, and I just recently, a few months ago, I did an article for the JAG newsletter, in fact, saying that in lighting we finally have our own digital revolution.
So it's time.
I mean, literally, lighting technology had not changed for eons. It was a tin can with a light bulb in it, and really there was not a real big difference from one product to the next.
From incandescents to halogens to, the big thing was I would say Well, the only real technological change was when we went, well, I don't know, what would you say?
Control. This is the DMX control system, you know. I mean, but
boards changed from dimmer rheostat.
Oh yeah. I mean, the lighting instruments pretty much stayed the same, and then it's important to think about.
HMIs were a big change.
Oh yeah, no, different. Yes, absolutely. That was a huge thing because bringing the whole very high efficiency, even though they're big wattage, but it's high efficiency for the amount of power that they use. But really, the thing that made the light was the bulb, and the people that made the bulb were not the people that made the light. So it was GE, it was Ushio or Osram or Sylvania. Those were that was the heart of these products. Now we've got a digital revolution where we're now embracing LEDs, and they have a lot of benefits. There's a lot of pluses. There are a few, there's cons as well as pros. But the biggest thing that is, it all depends on your perspective, because one of the things that has happened now is the people that make the light bulb are not are the same people that are making the light fixture. So it's if all the LEDs in the world were made by GE or by Osram or something like that, and there was consistency, it would be one thing. But now you've got manufacturer A, B, C, D, and then every one of their knockoffs in China that you have no consistency unless you pay the money for the blue chip company's product.
Or the mall, the other big players.
Absolutely, and that is probably the single biggest con to the whole thing.
And yet, don't you feel, in the broader context, this is my feeling, look at the vast level of QC or lack thereof in all of production. You've got people that'll accept a $300 soup can camera and we don't give a damn what you shoot it on. To, somebody wants a Varicam, somebody wants a red. And it's amazing the shows that are on the cable shows that use 10-year-old junk equipment and don't care. So I don't know that, it just depends on what sandbox you're playing in.
Oh, absolutely. And you can thank the news, and you can thank reality television for that,
because it's the lowest common denominator.
Years ago, when I first got in the business, broadcast quality was this. It was a vague term, but basically, as far as I was concerned, would PBS put it on the air?
Exactly.
All right. If PBS wouldn't put it on the air,
77 or 79, and now or BBP 7, and that's the only stuff he shot in the field.
If they didn't put it on the air, then it wasn't broadcast quality. Now you've got people that are broadcasting crap that comes out of an iPhone, and honestly, I shouldn't say crap because some of it looks pretty good because you can get 4K out of it.
Well, I got to tell you, it's as I've said it before. Chasing New Jersey, the reporters are shooting on iPhone 6, uploading it through the cell phone system back to the editors. They're cutting it, and I have to tell you, it looks a lot better than those old BBP cameras did. Yeah. With no lights, no sun gun, no burning the guy's eyeballs out from 6 inches.
Yeah, no.
I'm not so sure that it's as bad as, and even the $2,000 and $3,000 cameras, because of the technology. This is why, as people that have to pay our bills and put food on the table, are faced with an environment, along with a myriad of other factors, why they're paying kids $150 a day flat rate and bring your own camera, and they get away with it.
Yeah, well, I mean...
And, you got a young person who just got out of college 2 years ago, they're living at home, they really don't have any expenses. Mom and dad are tickled pink that they're
out making a couple of bucks, yeah.
Exactly. They're working in their field, they're not, working at the Sunoco station pumping for $7 an hour. And so they're happy to say, it's the DJ syndrome. I used to work at, and obviously I'm still working at it. That's not a good sign, but, you're making, how much a week? I make $300 a week. Yeah, but I work at 101.9. Whoa, you can burn right. Is that bragging rights putting gas in your box? No, it doesn't. But that's what we're faced. And plus, these schools keep turning out hundreds of thousands of students with a degree in production.
Right.
they really have no skills because they never got near anything.
Well,
that's a whole nother issue.
Again, it depends on your frame of reference. Some of them, because they were able to do something at such a low budget, there's been some really creative people that have come out of that thing.
I'm not disparaging this.
Oh no, I understand.
But the system is flawed.
Yeah.
We have no apprenticeship programs. We have, at least the film industry aspired to that at some point. The television industry just thinks you're going to get a bachelor's degree and have two semesters of interpersonal communications, and somehow that's going to make you a good DP. Or an audio person, places like Fullscale. But anyway,
if it was that way in 1984, then I wouldn't have been a salesman.
So tell me, in the broad sense, for the community that we're here today working with, what are the sweet spots for community television, both in the studio and for field production? What would you say, in your experience as an expert?
What do you mean by sweet spots?
What's the equipment that they should be utilizing or looking at, or so on? That's a broad question. It's a too broad a question.
It really depends, because we'll put it this way: if in working with the folks here at the Jersey Access Group, I've learned that they really do they run the gamut from very, very basic systems, which can be just a camcorder and a laptop and a bulletin board, to some very sophisticated systems. Whether or not they have a studio really isn't the issue. Put it this way. It's easy to build. Bless you. It's easy to build a studio now because the amount of infrastructure that needs to be put into that studio is way, way down. My power requirements are down. My HVAC requirements are down.
You're not running 3 runs of coax for everything.
Yeah, exactly, and just miles of copper. And I don't have to install a dimming system and miles of cable. So your electrical installation goes down. Where you have a system that has a working studio in place, there it becomes a little bit tricky, because, as I tell a lot of my customers, it's a tough sell to say, you know what, we should take down that $500 light and replace it with a $2,500 light, which is in effect what we're doing. It's still the state of the art, so it's kind of pricey. But as we were discussing at my Affinity lunch table discussion today, there are ways that you can phase into this thing with bits and pieces rather than doing the whole thing at once. What's nice is we have just about every product that you were used to using in the studio has a high quality LED equivalent now, and they match. So I can put an LED Fresnel next to a tungsten Fresnel, and you wouldn't know the difference. So with the addition of just a couple of extra circuits, only 20 amp circuits, because I can run dozens of lights off of these things, I can start to add LEDs. If you're using old LEDs that take like a 1K EGT lamp, I actually now have available an LED replacement lamp, which will fit right inside of your standard Fresnel on a G22 base, and will work as a phase dimmed fixture, which means I don't have to change anything. LEDs you generally don't plug into a dimmed circuit, but this I can. There's, for people that are using ETC Source 4 based, HPL based fixtures, they now have new Source 4 back ends that will allow me to get higher output than a 575 watt HPL for only a couple of hundred watts, and it's an LED that's going to last you for 50 years and is dimmable by either phase or via DMX, so you have your choice.
It's not color degrading over the period, right?
No. I mean, it's, put it this way, anything that will, but it's a slow curve to get down to that point. So
and it's predictable.
Yeah. So I'd say the sweet spot is there's something out there for anyone at all levels, and there's a transition
from
one.
Either or, it's not the old Sony dead end yet.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, we don't support that.
Yeah, I don't have to go into a place and say scrap what you have. I can go in and I can say let's augment what you have until we've replaced a few of these things. So it's it's an exciting time. Like I said, I was fortunate enough to be part of the digital revolution in video production and post-production, and now I'm part of the digital revolution as far as lighting goes.
The first major changes in lighting.
What was that?
The first major change.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Ever.
In essence, the lamps that we have in our fixtures now are not much different than what Thomas Edison built, over 100 years ago, because it's just a filament in a vacuum and a piece of glass.
Heat loss, and that's really what it was doing.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
we've got some really neat things happening now, and
You've
it's
got some
exciting.
neat things happening. I got to bring you up to.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you've had a regime change here.
Yeah.
The red and white shadow stone is.
Yeah, we've gone from red and black to blue and white. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. No.
So Four-Wall. Tell me about this.
Four-Wall is a very large lighting systems integration company and rental company with 5 offices across the country, and they recently acquired Shadowstone. So Shadowstone is no longer. So my 12-year run with Shadowstone and the Shadowstone JAG Alliance has gone away. But the good news is that the folks at Four-Wall have recognized the value of this group and our participation of it, and in fact they've upped our level of sponsorship in the JAG group.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So yes, so it's a good thing. It didn't take much to convince them once we told them what was going on. They had one meeting with Rich DeSimone out at NAB, and they were on board. Four-Wall is very well known in the theatrical and architectural industries, lighting industries, as far as their systems integration go. They do very big systems. They do hotels and casinos and all kinds of crazy stuff. But their penetration into television and film was limited. Okay. So that was why Shadowstone was targeted as a good opportunity for them for acquisition, because of our experience and our penetration into television, broadcast, and film.
So I can still get the rentals I need, still come up to the same facility, and all. You used to be up there spray paint. It smelled like blue spray paint all over the place.
Absolutely, it's nothing has changed there. Our entire inventory, and more importantly, our entire cast of characters from Shadowstone is all over at Four-Wall, which was nice. So I'm working with the same group. So our Shadowstone family is there. We've just expanded,
new swag, that's all.
And new colors, and we've gone from our nice little 33,000 square foot facility to an over 120,000 square foot facility.
And where are you located for people in the tri-state?
We're in Moonachie, New Jersey.
Oh, you're in Moonachie.
Yeah,
okay.
so we're right by the Meadowlands. We're right off of exit 16W. So it's still a quick shot for any of our trucks to get into Manhattan, and now We've got a fleet of trucks up to the tractor trailers.
Wow.
Four-Wall was a large company. And what was funny is I really didn't know much about them because I never butted heads with them.
Well, you and I said, I didn't know who they were when you talked to me about it.
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of times when I'm talking to people in the television side of the business, at least not at the high end, at the broadcast level, a lot of them was like, well, who's Four-Wall? And I had to explain this to them, that it's business as usual.
Well, now you can point them to the interview.
It's just blue instead of red. That's all. So it's all good. It was an interesting transition period. It happened. The announcement was made literally on the Monday before NAB, and that Friday I was heading out to build what was the Shadowstone booth and became a Shadowstone / Four-Wall booth, and it was a good opportunity for us to explain the transition to the broadcast industry, and for the most part, people have been very accepting of it.
I mean, the fact that you guys are still the same team, that's cool, because that means a lot, because you have always been, and look, we've all worked with other rental houses and stuff. You've always been, the equipment's first rate, absolutely maintained. This is something that it separates the men from the boys. I don't care if it's camera rental, support equipment, audio. Absolutely stunning requirement to have everything maintained. Secondly, decent guys that don't have an attitude, don't have that condescending bullshit attitude. Service-oriented, friendly guys, nice guys to talk to, accommodating, understand the pressures you're under. The stuff works. It's all squared away. It's just a good relationship.
Yeah, and I tell you what, we were very happy.
And that's a credit to you guys. I mean, it's the team. It's also the company company that Shadowstone has always had top-notch stuff. They don't send out crap that's falling apart.
We were very proud of the work that we did at Shadowstone because we all took ownership of what we were doing.
You had pride in what you're doing, which is the way this country was supposed to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it doesn't in many cases.
There's a reason why a lot of these folks behind me have been dealing with me and our company for years. And I tell you what, it was really assuring. When all this took place, obviously there was a lot of anxiety and a lot of emotion.
You never know what to really expect.
Absolutely. But I tell you what, when we went over to Four Wall, we found out that they really had the same type of a philosophy. And Four Wall, as big as they are, started out as a privately held company, the same way that the Shadowstone was. And they were, the first thing that I really liked was when I found out that they had a receptionist that answered the phone.
Instead of a stinking machine.
Loved when they called Four Wall, or when they called Shadowstone, we always told them, unless every blessed person is in the office is on the phone, you're going to get the call answered by a human being. They do the same. As big as Four Wall is, they do the same thing.
Jesus, I am so sick of going through menus and hearing that stupid thing in Spanish.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that.
Yep.
All right, let me decide if I want to hear it.
In fact, if you call after hours, you can't even just dial up to go to my extension. But after hours, that phone is automatically forwarded to my cell phone. So you get, if you're going to get any voicemail, it's going to be my voice.
That's fine. People expect that.
Yeah.
That's customer service.
Absolutely. And
I tell you what, spend $100,000 a year and I can't even speak to somebody. That's crap.
The Four Wall is, like I said, we were very happy to hear that they have the same attitude, the same service-oriented, the same quality of equipment. When I went over to the Four Wall shop for the first time, and I just saw how neat and clean all the rows. Right now, it's a god-awful mess because they're still incorporating all of our stuff in there. Right. And as big a facility as they had, they added a lot of stuff when they bought us. So, but when I saw them cleaning the cable the same way that we did,
right. When I used to QC for the NCP field shop, and we brought it in, we QC'd it, we tagged it, we cleaned it, we labeled it. It was boxed and ready to go. Shrink wrapped on the ends, so there's no moisture incursion. Do it. Mil spec, ready to go, squared away, and then nobody has to get an ulcer whether it's been taken care of. The DT12 was,
we would like, you as a renter to be able to receive a product that looks as close to brand new as possible. And that includes,
and you did, man. You used to go to your shop, and that stuff was just beautiful.
No, we did it, and like I said, so does Four Wall.
Good. Well, that's
it was comforting to see that same ethic. Well,
then I can say honestly,
attitude.
Congratulations, and
thank you.
I will pass the word that anybody I talk to, don't get an ulcer. It's all the same.
If I haven't gotten the ulcer yet, I don't think anybody else will.
Well, you wouldn't be saying it,
But like I said, I think it's going to be good, and I tell you what, there's going to be a lot more opportunity, and I've got a lot more resources to work with now. So doing a job on the West Coast means it
might actually be fun.
Well, I actually have a service organization on the West Coast that can support that system much more locally than we ever could out of New Jersey directly. So there's a lot of opportunity there. I'm going to learn a new technology and moving lights.
Go finish your career with these guys. We're not getting any younger, buddy.
Well, I always thought that I was going to work for Frank until the day I died or retired. But so now I'm going to be working for Four Wall. So
it's all good.
But it's good.
Paul, thank you very much for taking the time. I know you got bumped back all day long because
no problem.
I thank you much.
This is good. This means somebody else is breaking down my booth, so it works out all right. So thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
Hang in here for a second. I'm just going to say Paul DiStefano is systems integrator now with Four Wall, and you're out of Moonachie.
Correct.
They can find you at fourwall.com or
fourwall.com.
That's it. Go on the web, give them a call, quote them. I don't care what you're doing. They'll take care of you if you're a small player. If you're doing a shoot on film style, they'll help you.
Yeah, we really don't pay attention to the size of the client.
Right, and it's always been that way. They're good people. Can't say anything better about you than I would use you any day of the week and refer you to anybody.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you for being with us. Bruce Pearson with Jersey Talk Radio. We are signing off on this segment here at the Jersey Access Group. Thanks for being on, and we'll catch you folks again the next time. Until then, have a great one, and thanks for being with us. Good night.